Well, if they're glad I'm leaving, Neil, then I assume that the governor of New York, the unelected governor, has no interest in the tax revenue he collects from me, in which case I would ask him to call off his audit dogs. You know, one thing that hasn't been reported in this, and I've mentioned it each time I've talked about stopping doing business in New York, is I left New York as a resident in 1997. I moved down here to Florida, and I have been audited every year. This is going on in 97. This is 12 years that I have been audited. The most recent audits for the last 3 years. It's been going on since October. I am
audited by New York State?
New York State, but the city gets involved, and they're all involved. And once they start auditing you, I mean, everybody wants their piece of you. And I'm in New York working 15 to 20 days a year, and I have to, as part of this audit, I have to prove where I am every day of the year, 14 different ways. And the tax increase here was just, to me, it was the tipping point, because it isn't worth it. And furthermore, Neil, it isn't going to work. You couple this millionaire's tax that starts at $300,000 now, couple that with the desire of the Obama administration to limit executive pay and standard employee pay on Wall Street to $1 million, $500,000. They have no idea the shortfall of tax revenue that their own policies are going to be creating. And it's not, you said it accurately on Monday afternoon. It's not that I can't afford it, but why would I be stupid? What do I get for it? They've got their own separate welfare state that people like me are promoting in New York, and yet we're held out as the villains. We're the ones that are considered to be the problems. We're the targets, the evil CEOs, the evil rich, and so forth. I think in an economic climate like this, if they're going to raise taxes on people, they ought to start whining and dining them. They need to be thanked. These people need to be praised and encouraged to keep working and earn money so that New York can siphon it from them. This is just absurd, the whole thing. And I think for the governor to start making jokes about, I would have raised taxes sooner if I would have known that would have gotten rid of Limbaugh. Fine, he doesn't want my tax money, then he's not going to get it.
Yeah, but what's interesting, too, is he went on to say that a lot of them said that they're going to stay here, talking about other rich individuals, not quite as rich as you, but that people forget that you need very little to qualify for this millionaire's tax. About $300,000 will do it for you, and even less in some instances. But this is part of a national trend here. I mentioned some of the states, Rush, that as you've reported as well, are considering doing this. Then what happens? In New Jersey, they keep telling me, well, the rich didn't leave. But obviously unemployment has been soaring there, so someone is. What do you make of it?
Neil, I don't think it's a question if people are going to leave. I think in New York, there's been a steady exodus out of Long Island for a long time. It's not just income taxes that are pressuring people there. Property taxes, even though the home values have declined, the property taxes haven't. People have been fleeing the Northeast, including New York, and moving to the southern states, many of them with no state income tax. North Carolina's getting a lot of Yankees moving in.
Right.
Florida is, and so forth. I think it's already happened. But I'm not. I've joked and I said, look, if he wants to drive people out of there, I'll lead the way. I'm sure that there are people in New York who'll stay and put up with this. I mean, liberals are liberals first, and they will be convinced that they're doing the Lord's work here by having more taxes confiscated. If there was some value for it that one could conceive, but look at the out of control budgets this state has, the out of control spending, and the spending cuts are always mythical. I've never seen a budget get smaller at a state or federal government level. You might have individual bureaucracies that get cut, but overall, budgets never go down.
So by the same token, Rush, then this tax hike, which we're told is a 3-year trial, you also question that, right?
Well, that's a joke, too. But, I mean, if you think any tax increase of this, if it doesn't work, which it won't, Neil, they'll be forced to raise taxes again. It's sort of like, when the airlines have problems, what do? They lower fares. When the New York public transit has problems, what do? They raise fares. I mean, the government sector does everything the opposite of what the private sector does to compete, and they drive out their best customers. Now, this is I think, ridiculous to assume that this is going to raise a lot of revenue, and it's going to be temporary. I know the bridge tolls in all these cities where they built bridges 50 years ago, the toll's just temporary till we pay for the bridge. All of a sudden, there's a new need for education that the lottery's not handling, or there's a new need to cover this or that. They never do with that less. They're always telling us we should. We have a moral obligation to do with less. You have enough, they say. It's none of their damn business who has what. It's none of their business to decide.
But are you troubled, Rush, that whether you've become the poster child for this, but it is clearly a class warfare thing going on, and now it's heated up. What do you make of that?
Well, the only reason I'm a poster child for it is because I'm hated, envied, and despised by people that live there in the media and so forth. I'm a convenient target, and this is another way for people to have fun. I think it's more serious enough. I left New York in '97 specifically to escape the onerous income taxes I was paying then. It's not a question, like I said, of I can afford it, or it's something that I don't need. It's stupid. It's stupid to waste money, and taxes in a profligate, wasteful state like New York are wasted. They do not accomplish anything. You know, really, Neil, if you look at the structure of New York City with all the high-rise condominiums and apartments and co-ops, those streets ought to be paved with gold just from the property tax collected from one.
Well, let me ask you then, when you come to New York, either to do your show for special events, where are you going to stay?
Well, I'll check into a hotel, but I won't come. I'm not going to come, Neil. That's the thing. I'll come on weekends if I want to see some friends or do whatever. If I want to go play golf up in one of the golf courses, I'm not going to work there. That's how I'm taxed. The first audit was for 7 years,
right.
And they claimed I owed them X number of millions. They even wanted to come, Neil, to both my residents, New York and Florida, see which one was really the more